Episode number 16 with Joe LaPinta. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. We are your hosts, Steve Barton.
And as always, Mike Snyderman.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm surviving. Life's good. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Did you play it all in the last week or so? I'm sure you did.
Yeah, of course. I'm staying at it here. I don't know. Maybe I will get some encouragement and guidance from our guest today, Steve, who is
Joe LaPinta.
Yes. What do we know about Joe? We both know him personally because he's a TPE member. I think we've got to hang out through that. But he's also a damn good player, so we're lucky to have him on here.
He is, yeah. We met him last year out at the WSOP, and I was just talking to all the TPE guys out there. It was a big TPE meetup, and he was one of them, and he looked very familiar to me, and I thought, I think I've seen this guy before, either in person or on TV, and we got to talking, and he had just won a tournament. It was a 1675 buy-in for 182K, and the funny part about it was when he got down to the final table in heads up, he was playing heads up against his roommate.
Yeah, I knew that. Why did you actually? Was there a live stream on WSOP? Is that why he looked familiar, or you think you just saw his picture on a blog somewhere?
I must have. Yeah, I must have seen his picture on a blog, or maybe it was a live stream, or maybe it was on TV. I don't know. But I remember that story.
He kind of looks like a young Tom Cruise. That could be it too. Maybe
that could be. That could be. But yeah, after about 5 minutes of talking with him, I'm like, I got to get this guy's phone number because he knows a lot about poker, and he's an online grinder, live cash, live tournaments. Yeah, you name it. He's been making a living at playing cards. He lives with a bunch of other poker players, and just very, very smart. I've talked over several hands with him, and
that's got to be great to live with other and top poker players too. I mean, really good guys. I think the guy he went up heads up with, Joseph Wertz. I actually just saw him in LA and talked to him a few minutes.
Oh, cool.
And Malad. I can't remember his last name, but he's very good, and he's had some nice scores. And and Malad was also. Oh, by the way, I came in 21st in that tournament.
Oh, cool.
Throwing a slight brag there. And,
right on. Good.
And I can't remember. I'll blame it on bad luck, card debt, et cetera, et cetera. I'll take no responsibility for my losses as usual. No, that's not true exactly. But how about you? I get you just had a vacation, so you probably haven't been grinding that much.
Well, I played one. I don't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday. It was on the weekend. It must have been Saturday because I didn't have the big tournaments. But yeah, I was able to grind out about 6 or 8 hours. A profitable session, although, man, you're just never satisfied unless you get first. I had 2 final tables, got 8th in both of them, and then another one I got I think like 11th or something, and then the other one I bageled. But
this was on America's Card Room, or was this? You're done with Borgata, I guess. So
I got like $200 or $300 on there, but I just the synchronized breaks. I'm so over not having them. It's so nice to be able to go to the bathroom and just have 5 minutes to step outside and get some fresh air. And this was all on America's Card Room, is on the Winning Poker Network, and it was fun. It was fun. I got a few hands from those tournaments, but yeah, I just got back. My wife and I went out to Sequoia National Park. We spent 4 days camping up there and met some of the locals, sat around, drank beer with them. It was fun, and saw the big trees. Oh my God, those things are enormously huge. They are. Wow.
one of the things in nature which actually inspires a little bit of awe.
Yeah, honest to God, the trees are as big around as a large bedroom. I mean, they're huge. Some of them you could drive a car through. I saw the biggest tree in the world, General Sherman. They have a picture back in the 1800s of it's either 6 or 8 horses standing abreast to breast, and the tree is still wider than them. It's 2,200 years old. Just really impressive. it was a cool trip. It was good to get away and yeah, it was fun. It was fun. But it's good to be back.
If I can go on one of my tangents, this is fun. When I made my cross-country trek, I stopped in New Mexico because I specifically wanted to get my picture taken in front of Walter White's house from Breaking Bad. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
No, I've heard a lot about it, though.
Yeah, but it's like a tourist thing, I guess, for the fans. A lot of people, go everywhere where they can. I just wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. But then I had lunch nearby, and I was going to go to the Grand Canyon next. And some woman's like, it's just stupid. It's just a big hole in the ground. And she had actually been there. She's like, okay, it's like cool for a few seconds. So, if she saw one of your redwoods, she would be like, oh yeah, big tree. Yeah. Let's go get hammered. Not everyone is equally impressed by but she had me convinced. I'm like, you know what? I got to get to California. It's too much of a, maybe I'll make a Grand Canyon with that'll be something I do with a woman or with my son someday. So
you and your boy would like it. It's really cool. My wife and I went out there. I think it was just before we got married, and we stopped. There's this little town. It's called Williams, Arizona, and it's about 45 minutes away from the Grand Canyon. It's this cool little touristy town. They have a couple little bars and stuff. Really, really fun to stay at. Okay. And you can get a hotel for $40-$50 a night. That's nice. And then from there, just drive into the Grand Canyon. If you're not going to hike down into it or anything, a day is plenty.
Well, I'm scared of heights too, so yeah, that's one of my many phobias.
Okay, yeah,
so,
just go up to the edge, and then you might not want to do the glass walkway thing. Have you seen that?
No.
Some guy thought it'd be a good idea to build this glass walkway where you can actually walk out on glass and stare down about a mile. And
fuck that.
So that's probably not for you, but
right. No, I'd rather fight a herd of
angry monkeys.
Insert some animal that'll be tearing me limb from limb. A herd of Ronda Rouseys, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. So, anyways, yeah, quickly poker-wise, I was, I keep saying I'm done, but this time might be it because, I had my long list of poker rules, and this is, one of the whole theme here is how I have not been following them in terms of bankroll management, in terms of, just trying to beat the lower games, in terms of taking care of my mental, emotional health and not letting those things go to the table, etc. But the one rule I followed and I was convinced I would not break would be do not let my bank account go below a certain amount, which happened to be $20,000. Which is still, not a lot of money considering, the costs out here. And I knew I'd be probably doing a minimum wage thing. But I've been running so bad, I broke that rule. I wasn't even going to tell you. When we talked on the phone, I didn't even mention it. I was so embarrassed. But I took $5,000 out and bricked a couple 1Ks and had a couple bad cash sessions. And then again, I took another $1,800 out to play the bike main, another circuit main event for 1675. Yeah. And, I tweeted, I had kings ran into aces, would have had 130 effing big blinds, after the dinner break. Been one of the probably top 3 or 4 stacks in the room. And I don't know, maybe that's a hand we could talk about. That'd be one of the few, we talked a few weeks ago. I think it was when Killingbird was on. And I said, well, I folded kings pre-flop 3 times. And 2 times I know I was right. They showed me aces. Yeah. This might have been another one. But, yeah, I've really stretched the money past the point of, no return. And so I told myself, like, you said, I need to find another stream of income online because the carbon poker only pays a certain amount. And I've put a fair amount of money on Borgata and America's Card Room and have just been, like, bricking every tournament. So, yeah, it might be. It might be done. And it's kind of funny here. I know I bitch about bad beats. It's terrible. I was sitting at a cash table the other day. This is a bracelet winner. And he knows me, too. So it's like, that's the other thing about stepping away from poker. I feel like I was so close to infiltrating the cool club. You know what I mean? Some famous players knew who I was. And this guy, Justin Oliver, he won a 4 max, whatever. And he's like, hey, we were drinking like at the Borgata a few months ago and having fun. And, he's getting married. So we're talking, sitting down. And some guy was coming. He's like, uh-oh, it's Bad Beat Billy. I forget his name. Because he just goes around and talks about all the bad beats, which is just a no-no. That's considered a shabby player. But if I may quickly give my last 2 bad beats in cash, which I followed it. One day I went in there just to play 2-3 with $400.
Oh, good for you.
And like the third hand, I called a 3-bet with 10-8, and the flop was ace 10-8.
Perfect.
And of course, it all goes in, and the guy has king hits the turn. I'm like, was that your card? He's like, no. And then the river's like a 3, and we turn it over, and he's got ace king. So he had 2 pair.
Was
I'm
that
like,
your
man,
card?
that's kind of slow. He's like, oh, I thought you had a set. I meant, I thought I was drawing dead. I'm like, after you called my 4-bet shove or whatever the hell it was. So literally, I got up and got out. And then this was like a week ago. I went there with like 1,800, and I won't even give the whole session. But finally, I had like 1,200 and straddled pot, 6 people in it. I had 7-6 in the small blind, and I called the $40. And the flop is 7-6-4. And the original raiser, who obviously has a big pair, if he's betting into 6 people, bets pretty big, like size of the pot, like 240.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it like 500, which again, I guess is more a tournament thing, like trying to induce the shove. I probably should raise more, but I mean, either way, it's the same thing. He's got to either think if he's behind or ahead. And anyways, he calls. The turn is a 9. I shove in my last $800, and of course, he has a set of 9s.
Oh.
So I bricked 18 straight tournaments, and I finished with 6 straight losing cash sessions, and I'm playing much better. I've played much better poker the last month than I have ever before. I think I could be wrong. I don't know, but I mean, I've had the results online. I won the 240Ks, but maybe beyond all the other things I'm not going to do, play live poker until I have more money. How about I don't complain about a bad beat for how long can I go? Let's think.
2 episodes.
Ooh, you're setting the bar low, Steve. You really don't think much of me, do you?
Oh, I thought that was pretty high. I mean, that's like 3 hours of poker discussion, 1 bad beat in there.
You can mention a bad beat in the story of a tournament. I guess you just can't, bitch about it and whine, which I sometimes do here. But anyways, I sent out one of those, my histrionic tweets. I'm done with poker for a while. I'm looking forward to stepping away and re-entering the real world. Of course, I meant live poker. I've gone back to grinding on.
Yeah, you can't stop that.
Online, but we'll see. Like I was talking the other night, what kills me is just, I'd love to do the whole thing over now that I feel like I'm much smarter than I was 5 months ago and much better at poker. And at the very least, I would have saved money for Vegas. So I knew I could make a Vegas trip and go out there and play 8 to 10 tournaments. And right now, that's just, Vegas will not be in the cards this year. And hopefully, rebuild. It'll take a while. And, Vegas 2016, I suppose, if all goes well. But anyways, I think there's no point of us talking about hands when we've got a pretty damn good pro on the line.
I think you're right.
I don't know if we want to go right to him, Steve, or if
yeah, let's give him a call here.
My hope is that Joe has just finished like a 48-hour session here to see another degenerate, but he's such a sensible man. That won't be it.
There he is. What's up, Joe? How you doing?
Hey, Joe, how you doing? Good. Mike here.
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. What have you been playing? Live cash or?
Yeah. I've been playing 2-5, and I'm on about I think it's been about 90 hours. A downswing, about like 4K.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, it's been pretty ugly, but the last 2 sessions were winning ones, so going in the right direction.
That's good. Are you playing well? Are you just getting bad variance or?
A little bit of both, I think. I think when I started really looking at it, some of it was definitely some mistakes on my part, and but definitely a lot of unfortunate situations.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Right on.
Is 2-5? I mean, are you strictly 2-5? Do you ever go over there and poke your head in the? You played the Borgata, right? In the 5-10 room. I mean, sometimes there's some really bad players in that game, right? I mean.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've taken a few shots. They've been pretty successful, the last few that I've taken. But I mean, 2-5 just runs more frequently, and the games are just way too good.
Right on.
So out of, if you play, how many hours do you usually play a month? Like 120, 150 or?
I've been actually like shooting for about 200 for like the past 6 months or so.
Wow. And of those 200, what percent is 2-5 and what percent are your shots?
Probably like 95% 2-5.
Okay.
So, Well, we just talked about it together in the intro, where you, of course, had the nice big score, circuit main event champ.
Yeah.
And you got very lucky because I got knocked out 21st. We all know. We all know if I actually had the chips, it would have just been. I would have just gangster rolled.
It would have been Mike Snidey all the way.
No. But it sounds like after that score, you really had a good plan together. I mean, your goal was immediately not. I mean, you didn't play in any 10Ks or anything after that? Your goal was to, like, okay, now I got a good bankroll and I want to kill 2-5. Is that kind of accurate?
Somewhat. I didn't do anything too crazy. I didn't start playing in 10Ks, but I didn't really understand. I didn't have a good understanding of what it meant to be like a true grinder yet. I hadn't been playing for very long, like as a professional. So I think I got a little lazy after my score, and just started kind of like enjoying my time and not playing a ton of poker until I started to actually have to.
So you watched the life roll kind of slowly while you.
Yeah, I did some things that were responsible, just to kind of settle my parents down, as far as because they had just discovered that I was playing poker for a living, and so I needed to do something like very irresponsible with the money. So I paid off all my student loans, but
Okay.
I don't think I realized like how little money I had after that fact, after like student loans and taxes and things like that. It didn't quite sink in, exactly how much money I had and exactly, how long that would last me.
And you probably didn't have 100% of yourself in this tournament, I'm guessing.
I did.
You and your buddy swap, right? Or
Yeah, I was actually selling at face value to my roommates at the time, so I think I had like 65%.
okay.
Okay.
What do your parents do? That are they like blue collar people where you were, well, maybe we should go back to which, but you were an accountant, you had a job, which maybe to a lot of people, of course, is a path to some wealth and comfort and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I went to school for accounting, and when I graduated, I got a job working for a real estate company. About 2 years after I got that job, I got laid off, and I had no plans to really go back into that. I was pretty miserable at that job, but I kind of stumbled back onto poker. I had played in high school and in college, and then I kind of just stopped playing as soon as I graduated and got a job. And so afterwards, I started playing online again. I started playing on Borgata, and I found Tournament Poker Edge, and I started watching videos and playing tournaments. And I think it was 2 years ago, right before WSOP, I ended up winning a satellite to the main event.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was like, to me, that was like, wow, this is like the greatest thing that could possibly ever happen to me in poker, and this is it. And I went out there, I had a blast. I didn't do terribly well. I made day 2, but busted early. But I had a good time, and I was pretty much hooked after that.
And what year was that?
That was 2013.
Oh, okay. So
And you're a Jersey guy anyway, so you were already kind of physically situated where you could poker as a professional career was viable, right? Because you had the casinos nearby and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. I was living in Toms River, which is like an hour north of Atlantic City, so it was pretty convenient. And then once I got back from WSOP, I think it was like late August, I ended up moving in with a buddy of mine from high school who had just bought a house about 15 minutes outside of AC, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, and you live with a bunch of poker. Do you still live with Joe Wertz?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that was I was going to ask if you had some poker player friends, before you started playing poker.
Yeah, really.
Before you went pro, you already knew some guys who you knew it was a viable career. You knew there was guys who were doing it.
Yeah, I had one friend who we had played in home games in high school, and I always kept in touch with him, and I always kind of followed how he was doing, and he was just going crazy playing cash games, and he had moved up from like 1-2 when we had graduated high school to he was playing in like the biggest games in Atlantic City, like 10 and a quarter.
Wow.
Is this Malad or is that?
No, this is David Johnston.
Okay.
Yeah, he's probably one of the lesser known guys, but yeah,
I saw Joe Wertz just a couple weeks ago. He was in L.A. for the LAPC, and I joked. I said, "I bet Joe's not here. That nit's not going to pay for a plane ticket."
What did he say?
He laughed, but then I got very serious. I said, your roommate there, he's really got it figured out though, how to this poker thing, bankroll and stuff. He's not going to. Going across the country is really never plus EV almost, right? I mean, it's got to be just something fun to do, and you've got a decent bankroll, and you want to take a shot somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, not for the stakes that I play anyway. Not for right now. I don't think playing 2-5 is going to be. It's going to make It's not going to be profitable for me to go to LA to play 2-5. If I'm playing like 5-10 or higher, that's probably a much more.
Can't you get backing, or at least people to take a nice piece of you if you wanted to, stay there for a few weeks, play a bunch of 1Ks and maybe, satellite into the main or whatever. Is the tournament thing just less exciting for you, or just the variance is so great? It's kind of like, I'm going to stick to cash.
I guess it's a little bit of both. I mean, the tournaments, I enjoy the tournaments, but it is tough when, there's just so much variance involved, and I've gone on some pretty crazy streaks as far as like cashing tournaments and not cashing them. So I just like to stick to cash. I find it more interesting in terms of, there's like many different scenarios that can come up.
Right. So you still play like the Borgata series. I think I looked at your hand and you only had a couple cashes since you bit your big ship. So you must be just, Did you play any tournaments out in Vegas this summer? This past summer?
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
I played a lot of tournaments in Vegas this summer. I didn't cash any of them, but yeah, I mean, I haven't played a ton of tournaments, but I also have been running pretty poorly in them.
Okay.
So I have like one cash over my last like 15 live events or something like that.
Yeah, I'm 0 for 18. 0 for 9 was my previous high. So I
Yeah.
I was playing with another guy the other day in the main event. He claimed, and this is a guy, I forget he's a Romanian name. He's got 5 WSOP rings, and he said he had just gone 1 for 55.
Oh, wow.
Which seems about.
Wow.
I don't know if he's exaggerating. Poker players are always lying about their profits, maybe their losses too. For his, I don't know. But I was like, oh Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of. I mean, you'd have to have a great bankroll to endure that, and I would think,
Right.
or a trust fund. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. We had dinner like 6 months ago, and you were talking about your bad Vegas trip, and you're like, I lost a lot of money, and I'm like, geez, if this
Yeah.
guy can lose a lot of money, anybody can, because I know you weren't going there just dropping $15,000 at 10-20 and just going nuts. I'm sure you were making good decisions in game selection, and you could still get a big boot in the ass, right?
Yeah. I actually, I mean, I don't think I played anything higher than 2-5 while I was out there. I mean, I played a lot of tournaments. I played about 8 or 9 events, and I think they were almost all WSOP events.
Okay.
And the thing with the WSOP events is like they're just so poorly structured in the beginning that they're a lot. I didn't realize how high the variance was going to be in those things, and I learned my lesson painfully.
Yeah.
Painfully.
Were you a little too active early, considering the shallowness of the stacks? I mean, was any of it your play, or you just think it was just? I mean, it doesn't take much to get knocked out of those things, even early levels. Obviously, with you're so shallow.
Yeah, I don't think I had a very good game plan going in. I just didn't really know what to expect, and so some of it was just being too active early, and just, I mean, a little bit of it was just obviously running bad, but I definitely didn't feel like I was on top of my game.
Yeah.
Are you grinding any tournaments online, trying to keep your tournament game sharp though for another run at Vegas maybe? Or
I do play tournaments online. There's not that many great tournaments online in New Jersey just because we can't play on Bovada anymore, which
Oh,
is
really?
a real bummer. Yeah, I absolutely loved playing on Bovada. The tournament schedule was fantastic on there, and I guess because of regulated online poker in New Jersey, they don't accept New Jersey customers anymore.
They actually, the California online poker bill specifically says that sites that are not going to be regulated, basically paying taxes, whatever. I believe they even said felony to, so, if I could get a check in the mail from Carbon Poker that I play on, and, I don't know, the fuzz might be waiting for me. I got to get that money off before it gets legal, which of course I want, but.
Huh. What, when you, do you play any more online? Do you play on Winning or Merge or?
You can't do those either, I'm sure. Probably just the Party Poker, right? And
yeah, Borgata and WSOP. And they're pretty good too. The cash games on there are pretty good, and the tournaments are great too. But they just don't have a good schedule. So I only play the Sunday events, and I usually only play like 1 or 2 events on Sunday.
So wait, you play Borgata has an online room in Jersey?
Yes.
Okay, and WSOP does as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Borgata. The way it works in New Jersey is the online companies had to team up with an actual casino. So for Party Poker, they're partnered up with Borgata, and the Harris properties are partnered up with WSOP.
That's how that works. Okay. Yeah. I just been playing Winning Poker Network. I was on Bovada, but after talking with Mark and KB, they're like,
please don't talk about your small bladder anymore, Steve. We've covered that a few times.
It's like the synchronized breaks. Yes. Am I just beating a dead horse with this, or what? It's like, man, why doesn't Bovada do that? I don't understand.
It doesn't make any sense. That was always like my biggest pet peeve with them, was like that and the maximum tables. That was always like a head scratcher. I don't understand why they do that.
Yeah.
Well, they make most of their money from people betting and playing the casino, I'm sure. So yeah. But actually, I was thinking about this the other day, and you're the perfect guest to ask. Steve here was doing mostly cash, and all of a sudden he's got the tournament bug again, and he was talking to Mark Aliotto from TP, who strongly recommended just sticking to tournaments and nothing else to be top of your game. Mm-hmm. And I've done pretty poorly in cash. I'm break-even player or whatever. I was talking to – he'd kill me if I said this, but I'm talking to like probably the best player at the casino I play. It's a small player pool, and I finally got to ask him what his hourly is. And he told me not to – I know no one from my casino listens. But he made $130 an hour.
Wow.
And that's at 2.5?
This is, he plays 5, 10, and 10, 20. 10, 20 only runs 2 days a week, but 75% of his game is at 5. We have a 5-5 with a $1,500 buy-in. So you obviously, with the deeper stacks, the top players can, you got, bad players buying in sometimes deep. So, but he's like, man, if you just stop playing tournaments all in all, you would be doing the same, which I know is not true. I would never be that good, but, I wonder if it's just hard to be. I mean, there's a lot of people who are very good at both, but I mean, since you've started playing less tournaments, I guess my answer. Do you think that's part of the reason you're becoming better at cash, or are you? Yeah.
I mean, I think you can definitely be good at both. I think they just require you put in the effort to be good at both. I don't think that my tournament game suffers as a result of playing cash, and I don't think that my cash game suffers when I play a lot of tournaments. Okay. I mean, it's just a matter of you just got to put in the hours, and
Yeah, I mean, I think this is all just a mental leak of mine, but obviously, especially online, where half the tournament is going to be average big blind, 30, 35. It's just the bluffing is just so. The big bluff is sometimes, I mean, it blows up on you, but it's certainly much more plus EV than it is in cash, where if there's enough chips in that pot, you just got to take the damn thing down. Where I've learned again and again, like, check shoving rivers in cash games, people will just like snap you off with their top pair and their crummy kicker kind of shit, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like, that's just like kind of the nature of cash versus tournaments, is that, there's no tournament life in cash games, and people can make decisions that are for their whole stack, and it doesn't really matter because they can just buy back in.
Right.
Yeah, they just go into their pocket and pull out another.
I'm constantly relying on that fear equity of trying to make, getting people who I think just really don't want to get knocked out, especially late in tournaments. But yeah, it's time to
Yeah, I mean, for some people that exists in cash games, and you just got to find those people because some people are clearly either taking shots or they're doing it for fun, and they don't want to go broke.
Right.
But at the same time, they're still going to buy in for whatever the maximum is, and then you can exploit them for that.
The other thing, one of the reasons Steve and I started this is just to like expand to be able to talk to good players. But you get to do that on like a daily basis without a podcast. You think that's been a great help? Just your who you're living with and your social circle. Do you guys talk about hands a lot, or?
That's got to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I talk to my roommates every day about poker. I mean, that's about 90% of our conversations are somehow poker related, and we sometimes will, if we're not doing anything, if we're just hanging out, we'll have these like really deep discussions about theory and all sorts of things, and about just like the game in general and like the meta game when it comes to like 2-5 and 5-10 cash games.
Right on. Are they all cash grinders as well, or?
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of them have success in tournaments too. Like Joe Wertz has a lot of success in tournaments, but I would definitely consider him more of a cash game player.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Mark Alioto, I was talking with him the other day, and he just moved, and he moved in with a bunch of other poker players, and so he's kind of in the same boat you are.
Yeah, it's pretty great actually. Like, I mean, they've all been doing it for a lot longer than I have, so it's always nice to get like a better player's opinion. I mean, it's definitely probably one of the things that has like really propelled my game is just being able to constantly bounce ideas off of them.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, going back to your online tournaments, what are you able to use a HUD with WSOP and Borgata on Party Poker and all that?
Yes, yeah, we are. Yep.
You use Hold'em Manager or Poker Tracker? Or?
I use Poker Tracker. I use it primarily for cash games, just because I have more hands on. Like I don't play a ton of tournaments, so I don't have a lot of hands on people.
Okay.
So it usually isn't really very valuable anyway.
They're not very relevant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of hands, do you have any hands that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I have one actually that was from a couple days ago, and I think I actually posted it on the TPE forums in the cash game section.
Okay.
So let me pull it up real quick.
I was just gonna ask, how's it been the winter out there? I know the people in Boston and Connecticut have been going nuts. Has Jersey been just as bad, or?
I mean, the snow hasn't been like terrible here, but it's been pretty consistent. So we've had a bunch of snowstorms, and it's been really cold, but nothing like Boston. I actually have family from up there, and they send me pictures all the time.
I was just gonna ask if you and your buddies, especially after another good score, is there any thought of moving to Vegas, or you think Jersey's definitely going to be home?
For me, Jersey is definitely home. I know that some of my other roommates have discussed maybe moving to either Florida or California. But
okay, I have pulled up your hand here on the TPE forum here.
Okay,
but if we want to discuss it here,
yeah. So there's two villains in this hand. The first one is in the big blind, and he's definitely like the spot in this game. He's been playing like something like 85% of hands, and he plays, I think, close to 100% out of the big blind from what I've seen.
Okay.
And he likes to lead. He likes to dunk lead a lot of flops with all sorts of things like value hands and draws. And let's see if I have anything else here. And then the other villain is on the button in this hand, and he's like a decent reg who plays pretty taggy but kind of predictable. He has like a reasonable 3-betting range and check raising range and things like that.
Is this the hand that says tough spot with top pair, good kicker, and lots of action in front?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're all on the same one.
Okay. So in this hand, there's 2 limpers to me in middle position, and I have king queen, and I go ahead and make it 30. We end up getting 4 callers, including the button and the big blind. So we go 5 ways to the flop, and it is king 4 deuce with the king and deuce of spades. And the villain won in the big blind, bets 125, folds to me, and I go ahead and flat. I think at this point the only person behind me was the button, so I think there's definitely spots where I would raise here if there was more people behind me, just to kind of give worse prices to flush draws and straight draws, and kind of isolate this guy.
Yeah. Now, did you have a spade? I guess it'd have to be the queen of spades.
I did not have a spade.
Okay.
So I flat, and the button goes ahead and shoves for 395. And
okay, so what do you got in the pot at this point? You 30, and there was
so 35 ways, so 150 in the pot, and then 250 now on top of that, so 400 in there. Yeah, so
Okay.
he's pot size bet.
And he makes it what'd you say, 395?
395. So my range for him in this spot is basically going to be any ace-x of spades combo, and probably queen jack of spades, and any set, I'm thinking. I don't think he's going to be shoving here with too many kings. And he shouldn't really have any 2-pair combos. So it's really just like deuce, deuce, 4-4, and some flush draws.
Yeah, I think a set would be much more likely than ace king or aces, which he's always going to re-raise with, right? So
yeah,
you can kind of move those out of his range. Yeah.
Well, the total pot at that point is what is 795, and it's 270 for you to call. Does that sound right?
That's correct.
Okay.
But before I even get to act, it's on the big blind.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
of
right.
Course. Yeah.
And he acts pretty quickly, and he calls, but I think he intended to shove.
He shoved a bunch of chips in there without counting them, and thought he was re-raising, but he was just
He was definitely like a recreational player, so he didn't quite understand the rules. So I think he like did something like said call, and then he's like, "Oh, you know what? All in," and he didn't realize that he wasn't allowed to do that.
Okay.
So now I'm left with it, and he has. I'm trying to think. I think he had about $300 more than this guy's shove, and I cover.
Yeah, that's a tough spot.
Yeah. So, I was really torn. I didn't really know. It's hard to know the math in this spot because it's hard to know with the with the number
blind. The big blind, you definitely could have dominated. Could would he shove king rag or king? Would he shove king 9 there?
I think he probably would. Yeah.
What about like jack 10 of spades?
Yeah, definitely.
No, well, definitely this flush draw is going in there for both of them.
Yeah, he could have that. He could also have any 2-pair combo.
Wow.
Because he's playing. I've seen him show up with like 5 deuce suited out of the big blind, so I'm pretty sure he's playing just about every hand.
A lot of money in there.
Yeah.
That's my first thing. There's probably a mathematical is this one where afterwards you went back and do you actually use like the equity calculator and break down everything single hand they could have and all that kind of the poker slice you see on the TPE videos?
Yeah, I did actually. I was really curious because so in game I ended up folding, just because it's a really tough spot, and when you end up getting it in bad, you're basically drawing dead.
Yeah, if you're bad, you're real bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think I kind of underestimated how wide, or I don't think I underestimated how wide the big blind's range is, but I think I underestimate how much that changes the equation in terms of like what my equity looks like. And because of how wide he is, and because the other guy can only really have, a few combos of sets, I actually have great equity in this spot. And when I calculated it, I gave the button all sets, all ace-x of spades and queen-jack of spades, and I gave the big blind all king-x, basically all value combos. So all king X, all two pair, all sets, and then every combo of flush draws.
Right.
Which might be a little bit too wide, but I think it's probably pretty close.
And the button could even be a little wider. I mean, 10-9 of spades, he's probably going to call the re-raise, I think, right? I mean, maybe a few given, yeah.
So, and with that, I actually have 50% equity against those ranges.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Which was, really quite surprising to me. And as it turns out, they both had flush draws. I think the button had ace X of spades, and the big blind had 4X of spades.
Pair
and it ended up bricking out, and the big blind won it with a pair of fours.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I think in game I would have folded too. Yeah.
This is a dumb question, but I'm convinced if I just if I could learn to follow my first instinct in every hand, like my first response is like right so often.
Yeah.
I mean, do you remember like right away you're like, oh, I'm probably ahead here, or that's not something you really take in. You immediately start ranging them and kind of doing the equity calculations, or do you go by your gut ever in spots like these?
Well, I think I definitely it came to mind that like there was a chance that I am just up against two flush draws here, because I tanked for this for about like 4.5 minutes. I was really thinking about this. I think somebody ended up calling clock on me.
Well, bravo for that, first of all.
Yeah.
And I think just it's one of those spots that unless you have done equity calculations with that wide of a range, you don't really have a good idea of what it looks like. So I had no idea that I would have anywhere near that kind of equity in that spot. And,
so that was obviously all you were dodging. Well, I don't know, 8 outs I guess the 4 kicker and you were in good shape. That's the best you could hope for, I guess there.
Well, you know what? Maybe this hand is a good thing, because had you called and won, you might not run the calculations like as extensively and posted it like you did.
That's true.
Well,
that's
good
true.
for
and
us,
I mean, this is definitely good information for me to have in the future. Just to never make decisions without having a good idea of what your equity looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the max buy in there for 2.5? Is it 500?
It's 500, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. 100 bigs.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, where I can buy in for 300 bigs, and often many people have that, then it's just like the whole decision tree becomes even more complicated. Where
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I almost wish the 5.5 there at a $500 buy-in. I think I'd be. I don't know. Yeah, that is an interesting hand though.
Yeah, I never would have thought it was 50%. I was thinking we were splitting hairs like 38 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'm looking here because for any TPE members, Andrew Brokus is pretty active in the forums, and usually he has like the answer, what he feels is like, and in this one he's like, this is a tough spot.
Yeah.
Like he's saying, there's no, So I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah.
He's pretty much
usually when he posts something, it's usually the last post, because everyone is that's the answer.
Yeah, I basically use the cash game forum on TPE as a free Andrew Brokus coaching session, because he's usually the only person that will respond to the cash game topics.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's very good. I got to start doing that. So, Stevie Wonder, do you have a hand for us here?
I do. It is pocket eights. I'm in a $33 buy-in tournament. I think I late regged, and I was probably about an hour or so into it. The blinds were 75, 150. You start with 5,000. I've doubled up and gotten my stack up to 11,600. And so I got 78 big blinds. We got Under the Gun makes a min raise, so he raises to 300. I've got 62 hands on him. He's playing 19-11, and most of those raises are actually from early position. So with only 60 some hands on the guy, it's probably not too relevant. But anyways, he min raises Under the Gun. I'm in middle position with pocket eights, and it's on me. What would you guys call here? Would you re-raise or?
I'm inclined to just say call, but what's his stack size?
Yeah, oh, his stack size is 9,300. So he's got 65 bigs. I've got 78.
Yeah, unless there's like lots of 10 to 20 big blind stacks behind me, I'm probably just always calling here.
Yeah, no, there's none. No shorter stacks.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to disagree with that. How many big blinds you had? You said 60 something?
I got 78. He's got 65.
I don't know. Does it become well, I always prefer 3-betting, but actually I remember having this conversation with Joe. He's like, even the mediocre players in cash games or wherever are going to make most casual players are pretty good pre-flop. They kind of instinctively know the ranges, where it's post-flop they're going to make their mistakes.
Yeah, I just think this is like such a great spot to set mine. I mean, you're definitely deep enough, and you kind of you don't really want to open the pot back up because you don't want him to go ahead and 4-bet if he does have a big hand here.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I figured with his stats at 19 and 11, I thought he definitely got something. I think.
I guess under the gun, if he's middle position and you're the button, then 3-betting becomes,
Yeah, that was my reasoning. Just pretty much just on stats was he's a tighter player, and if I hit a set here and he hits a top pair or something, I can probably get most of his chips. But anyway, so I like to do that. I just call the 300, and then the cutoff folds, the button folds, the small blind calls, who has 63 big blinds, and then the big blind also comes along for the ride. He's got 66. So I've got everyone covered. They've got a little over 60 big blinds. I've got 78. The pot is 1,300, and we go to a flop of 7 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 3 of clubs. I've got position on everyone. So a pretty good flop for pocket eights. The small blind checks, the big blind checks, and then the initial raiser, that's 550 into 1305. And now it's on us.
He should have a pair. He should have a pair. 3 out of 4 times, 4-way to the flop, right? I mean, is it? I don't know. I tend to be very bullish if I miss a flop with ace king or ace queen, saying screw it, I'm c-betting anyways.
I mean, I definitely think that this is, if he's ever going to be c-betting into 4 people with just ace high, I think this is definitely the flop to do it. So I'm not necessarily sold on him having a pair here. He can definitely be wider than that.
He could have ace queen with the ace of diamonds, or
especially the 2 blinds are in. If it was,
yeah,
if it was hijack cutoff button who are in on it, then
right.
I don't know if you see bet, especially with you got 3 people behind you.
Okay. I didn't really see any reason to raise here, and I thought I'm probably ahead of a fair amount of the opener's range, and I thought if one of the blinds, like if the big blind called with ace 3 or something, we're probably going to find out now we're on the turn, and I just elected to call here. I thought folding would probably be the worst because I've got an overpaired on the board.
Yeah.
So I didn't put that as an option. I didn't really want to get blown off my hand, but if I go and raise and then he re-raises, now I'm in a tough spot. Well, maybe it's not too tough. I guess you just fold at that point. But I just elected to call, and so I call the 550. Then the small blind calls, and the big blind folds. So now we've got almost 3K in the pot. We got 29.55.
If you don't mind me jumping in real quick, one thing I've seen from some players in spots similar to this is they'll actually just go ahead and click it here.
Oh.
And
okay.
So I mean, assuming that this guy isn't going to just go crazy and 3-bet, like a really wide range. what it basically does for you is so if you click it here and something like small blind folds, big blind folds, and original razor calls, and so now at this point his calling range is probably going to be better than eights here, or at least it's going to have a significant amount of equity against eights.
Like ace king of diamonds or something.
Right, and but what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to check back a lot of turns. And you're going to be able to get to the river a lot cheaper than if you let him go ahead and barrel the turn.
Okay. Yeah, so I re-raise it to 1100 or something. I just click it right back.
Yeah.
And then
he's going to check the turn to you like almost all the time, I would imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm leaning towards a raise because you're going to hate every turn card.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And I mean, even for the times that he has something like just like, ace queen with no diamond like that, or ace queen with just one diamond, he still has a decent chunk of equity against you. So when you get him to fold the flop, it's definitely a good result for you.
Yeah.
Why just the click back? I mean, in this spot, I'm raising a lot, but I'm usually trying to make it a little pricey, So maybe even with like, yeah. So I mean, just to get him out, like if he's making it 550, I'd be tempted to make it 1650 or something. Is that?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I never do clickbacks. I don't know. I guess it's just not a part of. I need to incorporate it in my game.
No,
I'd do the same
there's
thing.
times
I'd make
for
it,
it, but I just my first thought was
here. If I were to raise, I'd make it probably 1555, 1444, something like that.
Well, I think I'd do it just because his continuing range, when you raise, no matter what your sizing is going to be pretty much the same range. And it's going to be better. Most of the time, it's going to be, have an advantage against your hand here. And I'll balance this by maybe like clicking with, like a 3 or something like that, or just to make it more expensive for flush draws or something like that.
Are you pretty much going to be assuming that, let's just say he called here? Mm-hmm. Are you going to be checking back almost every turn? I mean, certainly aces and kings and queens. I would think. Or is there any thought if there's
you mean with eights you're talking about?
Yeah, with the eights, you click back and he calls. Let's just say the hand went in a different direction. I mean, are you always checking back the turn pretty much?
Yeah, almost always.
Okay.
Okay, you're just trying to get to the river cheaply, and you can do that by doing a min raise on the flop.
Yeah, definitely.
And quickly, before we go to the turn, can we take threes out of the big blinds range here? I mean, I would think certainly I would. I don't know how many other players would. I'd almost always.
Wait, the big blinds or the initial raiser?
Oh, you mean the small blind?
The small blind called as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking. I think 4 to 5 times he re-raises with the 3 right there. I mean, do we feel like we're definitely ahead of him, or no? We can't dismiss the possibility of just looking ahead to the turn here. I don't know. Steve, what was your first reaction when the small blind called? I mean, who were you thinking? Oh, he could be just slow playing a monster.
I thought he could have anything like 7-8, 7-9, a flush draw. Yeah, possibly a 3, I guess. Although it'd be tough to call in the small blind with the big blind left at because you're not closing the action unless you had maybe ace 3 suited.
Right. Okay. Just throwing that out there. So So now we're going to the turn.
Okay. So the turn, we've got almost 3K in the pot, 29.55. And the turn is probably one of the better cards in the deck for me. It's 4 of spades. So the board is now 7 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 3 of clubs, 4 of spades. And the small blind checks, and the initial raiser under the gun checks. And what would you guys do at this point?
Definitely betting here, I think.
Okay. What's your sizing look like? For a 3K pot?
3K pot. I'm probably going to go ahead and make it something like 17 or 1800. I don't think you're ever getting check raised by the original opener. So it's really just a matter of like what small blind wants to do.
Okay.
So I'm probably going just over half pot, and I'm more concerned about the small blind for sure.
Okay.
That sounds about right. I might even make it a little. I might even make it a little bigger. I don't know, but I mean, if there's like I said, the two of them together got probably 15 outs on you. Two if they got 2 overs and a flush draw. I mean, just to throw that out there. I don't know. You know what I mean? So they have. But I guess the thing, it's the same sort of deal. Whether you charge. Yeah, I don't know. I might go even a little higher just to charge the flush draw a little more if one of them has a flush draw. But that's just my first. It sounds about right though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine too. I just happen to like, I don't know. I have a fairly small range of like bet sizes.
Right. Just trying to
play.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay.
I wouldn't mind a bigger bet even.
Okay. Well, I 17 or 1800. I bet 1777.
Nice.
So there we go. Pat on the back for Steve.
Good minds think alike. We can't say great here. Let's keep it real. But anyways, yeah.
And the small blind calls. He calls the 1777, and then the initial raiser folds. So he probably ended up having I don't know, king queen or ace queen or who knows. So at this point, I'm thinking the small blind, he probably has something like maybe an A7 or maybe like 8-7, 9-7, 6-7 with a gut shot. A flush draw is probably pretty likely because he just called there. And the river is a king of clubs. So the flush draw doesn't run out. There's a 1 over card out there now. And we got 6,500 in the pot. And the small blind checks to me.
Checking back every time, I think.
I think I'm checking back as well. I don't think there's anything you can really like. It's going to be so hard to get value from a 7.
He shouldn't be calling with a 7, really. But some people are. If he's super sticky.
Yeah, I would have to have a lot of history with that guy to know that he's going to do that in order to bet this river.
Okay, all right, that's what I did. I checked behind, and I won the pot. I don't know what he had. The replayer doesn't show what his cards were.
Oh, okay.
And so whatever it was less than pocket eights.
Yeah.
So okay, no, that's a good point though. On the flop there, then in a spot like that in the future, I can just click it back, and more often than not, that'll probably blow out the blinds unless they have something.
Right.
And
if you do make it to showdown cheap, they saw that you were also raising with the best hand, so it opens up some other bluffing possibilities later. For raising on flops, I think too.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Right on.
Okay, well, I got a hand 2 nights ago playing the high roller on merge. Okay. I was in the money. We were in the money. 28 players left. So we're not quite down to 3 tables. So my table happens to be shorthanded with only 6 players. And I have 65,000 in chips. And the chip average is 51,000.
And what are the blinds?
The blinds are 1,000, 2,000. So I got 2.5 big blinds. In these merge tournaments, a bunch of people are going to usually get knocked out quick, and by the time you get to the final table, it's a little deeper than that, probably 40, 45 big blinds maybe. And the villain in this hand is interesting. He is the big chip leader in the tournament. He has 134,000 in chips. I'm in the small blind, and sometimes he's a name I didn't recognize, so I like OPR'd him, and he'd only played in like 15 tournaments, and he was or very few tournaments, I forget, and he was a losing player. I don't think he'd even cashed yet. So it doesn't really mean anything. He could be a very good player, but quickly his tendencies, he had been shoving a lot, even like kind of over shoving. Like someone opens with 25 big blinds, he shoves. My first instinct that he really is like a mediocre player who just did not want to play post flop. Yeah. And just, he was having all the chips and running good. And I thought, I'll tell you that. I had jacks in the small blind.
Okay.
So, and it folds to me.
Oh, so he's in the big blind.
He's in the big blind, the big stack, the guy big by far. like I said, 28 players left. I'm probably like 7th in chips or something like that. I've got. So I mean, the two options are obviously limp raise or raise, and I decide to raise to 4,600.
Yeah, folding would be bad.
Yeah.
What'd you raise to?
4,600.
I'm sorry, what were the blinds again?
1,000, 2,000.
Okay.
I don't know. Usually, actually, if I'm trying to my sizing, if you've been watching, if I'm ever trying to steal there with Jack 7, a lot of times my small blind raise is like really big, like 3.2x or something like that, or it's usually raised big or limp for me on the small blind. So I don't know exactly how I came up with the bet sizing, but again, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting hand. He takes about 1/8 of a second before insta shoving.
Oh wow!
And this is one of those hands where we had a very similar hand we talked with Mark Aliotto before, where he had queens and he ended up folding. For the whole, purposes of just, he didn't need to win the hand. And so I don't know. Do we attempt to construct a range there? This is one of those where I immediately said he's only got one hand. He's got ace king, queens, kings, or aces.
When you said that he was shoving a lot, he was just like shoving over raises a bunch. Was this was after the bubble broke?
Yeah. I hadn't played that many hands with. Maybe I shouldn't, but he had definitely done it a couple times in the last, orbit anyways.
Okay.
And, I mean, if you want to know the other stack sizes of the table, we had someone with just 12,000, just 6 big blinds. And then 2 people with about 30,000, so 15 big blinds. And then we had one guy who had 43 big blinds at a pretty decent stack. But, I mean, this is a situation where you're going to be 3-bet shoving a lot. So it's not like he was, But there was a couple times anyways where my instinct was this guy's not very good. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't like a certain spot where he's shoving where it's like, well, if he's at the top of his range, he's losing a chance for value. And if he's at the middle of his range, he could be running into it and just giving away too many chips kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, with what you got, 32 big blinds, and with your raise size, I kind of do the same thing. I'll raise bigger out of the small blind instead of just making it 2 or 2.2x. I'll err closer to 3x, without quite approaching it. I'll make it 2.7 or 2.8, and here you're doing 2.3. But the fact that you've seen him shove several other times and you've already got it in your mind, you've been playing long enough, you can recognize just like anyone that this guy's a recreational player. A pro would not do that, and this is just another hand that he could have it here, but
I think the insta shove, maybe I had like a timing tell on him a few times where I thought he'd think about it for a few seconds. Like in my mind, if he has pockets of 7s or 8s, he still might shove, but it's going to take 2 seconds rather than, 2 seconds in online poker is kind of a long time, 1,000, 2, kind of thinking about it. Anyways, I immediately said, okay, he's got ace king. If he, we had this discussion with a previous hand where if the player actually turns it over face up, and if you saw he had ace king, would you call here?
Yeah.
I've got an above average stack. We got a guy who's, Jax is just a big hand.
How tough is this field? I don't ever play.
I'd have to, that'd be interesting to look at that. I remember thinking that this field was like a lot kind of softer than a lot of the fields we normally have. Like a lot of the best players were getting knocked out. Let me just look at the field here. Yeah, it's always hard to, let's see, of the top players. Okay, Professor Oak, New York Knicks all the way, Good Time, Utah Jazz. Yeah, those are like 3 of the top 5 earners on the site. So yeah, it's a pretty good field, I guess.
I mean, if it's pretty good and somebody shows me ace king here, I'm probably gonna call.
Would you call in this spot not knowing what he had and just the history you got?
Yeah. If you in this exact spot, not knowing what he had, I would probably have to call here like every time.
Yeah, I think it was a must call. I wish I waited, and it's like I said he's got ace king, and he had ace king, and of course two aces hit. So yeah, of course, which is the same as one ace hitting. But I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting spot because that's you're acknowledging you're just gambling there. But 30 big blinds is still pretty shallow. I don't know if that's a spot you can pass up on.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the field is tougher, like having a lot of chips is probably going to be to a huge advantage for you. So when you win that hand, and if you become, I don't know, where exactly that puts you in.
Yeah, I would have been chip leader for sure if I won that hand. Yeah.
So I mean that kind of like sets you up for a pretty big run.
Yeah, I didn't lose a lot of sleep over this hand. I think it's just the way I go. I think I was short stacked at the bubble and kind of just grinded up, and I might have just won a flip a few minutes earlier and just got, just was finally like, chip healthy. But anyways, I just thought it was. This is a spot that comes up over and over again in tournaments where you know what I mean, where you've got a strong hand, but you're like, do I really want to flip right now?
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I just think that like. I mean, I guess if it's a timing thing, then maybe it's different. But if he's like shoving because he doesn't want to play post flop too much, then he's just gonna have. You're just gonna have him dominated so frequently here. He's gonna have a ton of middle pairs.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think and I thought he was. Well, I thought he was strong there. I mean, like I thought he kind of would have, but he certainly could be on happy tilt there, where again he's just looking at my stack, less than half of his, and there's certainly. Great value in getting a fold there from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could do the same thing with ace 10 suited or 7s, 8s, 9s. Yeah. Maybe with the timing thing, not, but, I couldn't fold that.
Do you still have time, Joe, for another hand or two or,
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I got another one right in front of me. I don't know, Steve, if you got one or.
Yeah, let's do it.
This one was on Sunday. This was the Merge Super High Roller, which is a $530 buy-in. And we're getting the blinds 600, 1200. So we're getting kind of deep in the tournament. I think probably like 40% of the field left. Maybe a little less even.
Okay.
I have 37,000 in chips. Starting stack was 15,000. I don't know what the average stack here is exactly. I'm probably a little underneath it, a little under it. The villain here is MP +1. I guess that's the hijack here when we're 8-handed. And he's got 44,000 in chips. And I'm in the big blinds with 3-4 of spades. Right away, first answer is I probably shouldn't be in this hand at all. I mean, which is the first thing you're going to tell me, but I just want to say that. So I don't know if this is relevant, but the villain here is the guy who I don't know if you saw the tweet from last week. This is the guy who knocked me out of the 500 the previous week, where I flipped trips and he went in there with stone cold nothing, drawing at about 3%, and then hit runner flush.
Yeah. Oh,
and so I don't know if that had anything to do with me being trying to be creative in this hand. But it folds around to Go Rams, who is I forget his name exactly, but he raises the min raise to 2,400, and it folds around to me. And I'm thinking he's, raising 30-40% of hands, and he's going to get a lot of air. Basically, I just wanted to call with this hand and hopefully hit some crap flop and bust the guy. So I can't really. I don't know if there's a specific number of. Let me see. I'm sorry. How many big blinds do I have here? I have 31 and a half big blinds or something. Is that, I don't know, is that a stack depth, Steve, where you're not even touching that hand? You want to save those chips for when you got to,
Actually, for me, I mean, it's just a min raise. Now, if it was 3-4 offsuit, got folded, but 3-4 suited, I would probably call there. I'd probably call with all no one gappers up until maybe like maybe Jack 9. No,
Let's
maybe
see.
not
There
quite
was
that
well, there
tight.
was. Let me see. When it got to me, there was 5160 in the pot, 1200 to call. So I'm getting
Yeah,
four
I'd
point
call
two
that.
five to 1.
I would call that. Maybe that's a little loose, but I would call there because it's suited. If it wasn't suited, I'd drop it. What do you think, Joe?
I'm tempted to say I would probably fold, but I'm kind of a nit when it comes to defending out of the big blind. But I mean, I think like I probably need like 6, 7 suited plus, and like maybe yeah, that's probably about where I don't know. I mean,
It's a
unless I
better
think
hand. It's a better hand than King 9 here. Maybe I don't know against his opening range. Well, I don't know. 3-4 is pretty crappy.
yeah, I mean, there's
Any
just
way
like
you slice
never
it,
good.
yeah.
There's never great flops for you, and unless like this guy is gonna play really tight post flop, and you're gonna have like a lot of bluffing opportunities. But given that, given the history, I'm not sure that's the case.
Right. Well, that's true too. That's true too. Yeah. Um, should have factored that. But anyways, we go to the flop. 6,360 in the flop in the pot. In the flop is the ace of hearts, the 8 of hearts, and the 2 of spades. So I have a gutter ball and a backdoor flush draw.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, well, you had 3-4 spades. Yeah.
So and Go Rams bets exactly half pot. I
So you checked
in.
in.
He bets half pot,
Okay.
3180.
Okay. I mean, if I showed up here with this hand, I'm probably gonna call here.
And why is that?
I mean, I think this is a spot where he's gonna have a hard time continuing on blank turns. Like, I shouldn't say continuing. He's gonna be really torn between barreling and not barreling, and it's gonna be a pretty clear distinction between like value hands and just air. So when you call on this flop,
Okay.
your range is going to be very ace heavy, I think. So he's going to have a
Okay.
tough time barreling turns. So when he checks back turns, it's just going to leave it wide open for you to be bluffing rivers.
If he's got,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, if he's a real HUD master, it's hard to say what they do. But my big blind defend is not super high, I should say. It's like 30%. This is something I use a lot. I look at how high they defend. Some players it's 50, 60%.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. I got a lot of ace X in there. If he doesn't have an ace,
Right.
my
I mean,
my main thing here is I don't know if you ever think I think I read this in some damn poker book I never would have read here. This might have been an Ed Miller book, but I'm doing it wrong. Where you can calculate where I don't just have the 4 outs. Any heart, I can also kind of see that as an out.
right.
Where I can rep that, and he's going to have a hard time calling. Maybe even if he has an ace, but against this villain, I don't know if that's thinking. So that's, yeah, more than the fact that that he could have air and that I could rep something on the river. I was thinking, well, even if he's got a piece of this, there's like a lot of good turn cards where I can rep a nutty hand. I don't know. Is that something that ever goes into your mind, either in cash or tournaments?
I mean, I think the fact that there are hearts and well, I mean, I think that's a case to be made for calling just because like I said, you can like bluff rivers. So let's say he has something like, let's say he actually has a hand here, but it's like something along the lines of tens through kings. And, you call here and then the turn is a brick and it goes check, check. And then the river's a heart and you have 4 high. When you bet the river, you have basically 0 bluffs, or at least that's what it should appear to him.
Right.
So he's going to be forced to fold there, unless without an ace or a flush, basically.
But we're kind of targeting air and the middle of his range here. I mean,
right.
Because if for some reason I knew he had an ace, he's probably never folding regardless of the turn and river.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of your thought?
Yeah, and if I think he has an ace, then I'm just hoping to hit my gutter or turn backdoor spades and hopefully he makes it cheap enough for us to call on the turn. I mean, you can make some really deceptive hands in this spot. So if he does have a big hand here, if he does have an ace, then you're gonna be able to get paid pretty well when you do get there.
Well, I decided to call, and there's
Okay, so you got 12,660 in the pot.
12,720 in the pot.
720.
And the turn is the Jack of Spades. So I now have picked up my flush draw.
Okay.
That's a pretty good turn, considering.
One of the better ones.
And I check to go Rams, and he bets 7,200. A little more than half pot this time.
What's in your stack at this point?
At this point, I still have 31. I'm sorry, let me see. 31,500 left in my stack. I've only put in about a little less than 6,000. So if I fold here, I still got 15 big blinds or whatever it is, or almost. But like 17% of my stack is in so far. But if I call here, I have almost the exact amount of chips left for a river shove.
Okay.
If I call, there's going to be 27,000, a little over 27,000 of the pot, and I'm going to have a little over 24,000.
Mm-hmm. Wow, this is close. Yeah, I'm torn between, like, I don't think there's any way. I'm trying to think. I don't think shoving here is ever, or should be, a good idea, because I just don't think you ever get folds. Like, I think there's just such a draw heavy board that he probably never folds an ace-2 here.
Right. He might even find a call with pocket tens or something too, or I don't know.
Yeah,
that'd be tough, but yeah.
And I'm trying to think if he ever. The problem is, like, are you just gonna? So let's say the river's a heart. Are you just gonna lead shove?
That's my plan. I tanked deep for this. I don't know if this was tight, and I basically, I told myself that I had 21 outs.
Yeah.
Any five, any heart, any spade, I shove the river. He can't call, he calls and I win.
Yeah, I mean, this is assuming too that he doesn't have a flush draw himself,
right?
Which is kind of a problem. I mean, I would like this spot so much more if you're in position, just because then you get to see what he does on the river. If he checks to you on a heart river, then it's just obviously an easy shove.
Right.
All this could have been solved though by clicking fold pre-flop, though, right?
That is.
Listen,
true.
Barton, we've already moved past that. We discussed that already.
Hey, I said I'd call just like you did, so
Pipe
I'm in
down,
the same
fireman.
boat.
There's a couple top-level poker minds who are spitting out gems here. No, I'm just kidding. You're right. I think it's probably a fold here, considering my stack size and everything.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, like, if you're deeper, it's just such an easier. You can just call purely for implied odds, but you don't really have
right at this point.
Implied odds.
At this point, if I call and then fold the river, I'm down to I still got 20 big blinds. No. I'm sorry, I still have just 10 big blinds. So we're I mean, the turn is just so pretty. It's hard to let go, though.
Yeah.
And especially, like if he does obviously at the top of his range, I mean, you're just going to get paid off every time if the spade hits, because he's never going to put you on the backdoor flush, obviously.
Right.
Anyways, I do call, and there's now 27,120 in the pot, and the river is the 3 of hearts.
Okay.
Well, that's one of your quote-unquote outs, right?
I don't like your tone, Steve. I got to be honest. It's a beautiful sunny day in California. I could be doing a lot better things than getting shat on by you. No, you're right. I think we know what's going to happen here.
I think you're going to shove.
Yeah, I insta-shoved, and I did not get a courtesy tank. He insta-called, and he had bottom set. He had flopped a set of deuces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I got knocked out by the same fat bastard again. No. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like every step of the way. I think on the river there you got to shove. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was concerned that maybe, Hearts won't get folds on the river in this spot, either because he has them himself or he's just too high up in his range to just fold.
Is he folding ace king or ace queen there, you think?
No. It's
kind of like the same.
And this is again the villain. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't really thinking. This is like a rebuy, where I mean, you get these crazy people who's just. I mean, this is who just like will rebuy 6 or 7 times into this tournament. You know what I mean? Even at $530 a pop. There's a guy who won it a few weeks ago who's one of the better players, and I looked the next day. He had bought in 7 times for this tournament. But he ended up shipping it for $14,000.
Oh, wow.
So even like late 10, 12. I mean, I do the same damn thing, so I'm not going to mock So the wrong villain, the wrong play, I think all around. But I also brought this one up is because this is something, I don't know, Joe, that I probably do in cash games too much too. Where I'm like, okay, I got a gutter ball, but I also can rep the flush. And maybe against like sort of mediocre players at 2-5, they're like they're always afraid of the flush, even when they got a big pair.
Yeah, I think
the game I play a lot, there's it's pro heavy, and I don't know. I can think of at least 5 or 6 hands like this in cash games where I've had a middling pair and like rep the flush or the straight and lost a big pot.
Yeah, I think in live cash, your average recreational player, their mistakes are going to be calling too much as opposed to folding too much. So I think I kind of stay clear of like too many crazy bluffs in spots where I think my opponent's ranges are pretty strong, just because their mistakes are always going to be that they're going to end up calling in bad spots as opposed to like.
Damn it! Why didn't we do this interview 5 months ago? I wouldn't be fucking broke. I wouldn't be pushing a cart around stealing recyclables out of bins here. That's so true. I mean, it really is. It's just you just wait for hands and pound people for value.
Yeah.
Well, I got a hand from the mailbag. If you guys want to go over that,
we've got a mailbag. First of all, let's let that soak in.
Yes, we do. Hang on.
How about that, Joe?
There we go.
You got a mailbag.
I pulled it out.
You can take your $200,000 score and stuff it where the sun don't shine. Me and Steve got a mailbag. That's what really matters in this world. People are coming to us for help. No, I'm just.
This one's from Michael. He says, "Hey guys, I've been listening to your podcast for the past few weeks and really enjoy the strategy talk and poker guests that you have on. Could you please help me analyze this hand?" Yes, we can, Michael. Chicago Poker Classic, 500K, Event 1. We are in the money late on day 1. There is 31 of 630 people make day 2. Okay, so 31 out of over 600 make day 2, and they got 38 players left, so they got another 7 players.
Wise, where this is like getting more common, where these like 5 or 6 starting days, and each starting day actually makes the money, but only 5% go to day 2. That sounds like what this is.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
So they're already in the money, but only.
Not yet.
I thought he said they're in the money.
Yeah, I thought that's what I heard too.
I did.
They're in the money,
you're right,
but they haven't. Okay. Yeah, but he's aiming obviously to be the top 5% who get to bag.
Yeah. Okay, so it says 31 of 630 make day 2. There's 38 players left, so they got 7 more. We start the hand with 135K at 8,000, 4,000, 1,000 ante. So how many?
He's got 30 and a half.
135.
Oh no! Wait! I'm sorry. 4,000, 8,000. He has 135.
135 divided by 17. He's got 16.
Okay.
Yeah, 17 big blinds. Hero is in the big blind with ace queen suited. UTG opens to 18K, so he makes it a little bit more. What is that? 2.2x, something like that. A little bit more than a min raise. UTG plus 3 calls. and then it folds around to the hero in the big blind. He's got ace-queen suited. He says the original raiser has been active. The flat caller is a guy in his 50s, a casual player. Is this the perfect spot to squeeze?
Yes.
Sounds like it.
If the first, I was going to ask if the original opener is in any way active or loose with his opening, if he's anything over 15%, then I mean, did he mention the stack depths of the two villains here? He didn't.
No.
Yeah, I mean, at the very worst, you're getting one of them get to knocked out, and you're getting 3-2 on their money, and you're probably, maybe even a hole ahead of their calling ranges. So I think this is I'd be shove. Well, my answer is always shove it in there, but
yeah, no, I think I agree with that.
Yeah, no, I don't see any other thing with 17 bigs. Yeah, I think
if for some reason this tournament is running like half a turbo, and it's like if the average stack is 13 big blinds, I don't know. Does that change I'm still shoving, but I'm just curious if that. If we
I don't know. Can you ever flat there? You mean if it's like that, or?
I mean, I think it's still probably a shove. I'm curious to know like what my opponents are doing generally. Like, I mean,
it sounds like the perfect.
Active, but like in what way? Is he?
He could be 3-betting from late position, like active in a aggressive professional manner, rather than just opening up crappy hands from early position.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It sounds like, depending on what the stack depth, the 55-year-old guy who calls for middle position sounds like a guy who's never calling the shove. But I mean,
right.
I mean, that's my first instinct.
He's never going to have you dominated. That's for
sure.
He
shouldn't.
I mean, he might end up showing up with like tens. Some people will. I mean, some people just don't 3-bet, but they will call off.
Right.
But I'm not really. That's not really
true.
like a bad outcome for you, though.
Yeah. You're still, especially with suited.
I mean, if for some reason the guy under the gun has aces here, and you just run into it, it's still the right move. Anyway you break it down, I think mathematically, or although it's But you have to, if you want to factor in some of those, if this is a guy who's never got to bag chips before. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about the hero, or
I'm talking about the hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't. I mean, there's been times I've been on a bad streak, and I need that extra $450 cash, and I'll knit it into the money a little bit. But here, I mean, the optimal EV play is certainly is a shove. I think certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I especially
suited. He was suited too, right?
Suited,
such a pretty hand.
Suited, yeah. It's all leaning towards. Yeah, I think definitely.
How if we could just play around with this for a little bit? I mean, how many big blinds would you have to have? I mean, if you're a little earlier in the tournament, I mean, if you got 26 big blinds and the other two players have exactly the same, is that a 3-bet call, or do you flat and evaluate? I think it's you can't 3-bet fold that with 26 big blinds there. I don't think
3-bet folding.
No, I don't think you can 3-bet fold.
I think here's the thing that I've noticed in live tournaments, and this may be maybe it doesn't like exactly cover every situation, but I just get the feeling that people are in live tournaments are not playing as aggressively as they do online. So in a spot where, let's say you have 25 big blinds and you have ace queen here, and you 3-bet and somebody shoves, you're probably not getting it in very good too often.
Right.
So that would make me more inclined to just flat, especially with ace queen suited, just because it plays really well post flop.
Yeah, I was thinking flat.
Once you get like late average 30, people just make too many folding errors.
Yeah.
Too many raise folds, too many 3-bet, refuse to c-bet kind of stuff. People just really want to hold on to those chips.
I might even flat here if I had like down to 21 or 22. You could flat, and then if you completely airball it, then you still got 20 bigs.
Yeah, I don't think that's terrible either. I think like the thing to remember about these live tournaments is because people are folding so frequently, you only need like, maybe like 8 or 9 big blinds to have fold equity, which is
Right.
pretty uncommon online. So when you're thinking of your shoving ranges and your 3-bet calling ranges, you should probably consider that if you have too many big blinds, you're going to end up just getting it in bad way too frequently.
I guess. I mean, certainly, online, this is a shove. I guess the other possibility we didn't bring up, even at this stack depth, I don't know. Let's just say the middle position guy has pocket nines. If you 3-bet to, 7 big blinds, does that look even stronger to him? Like he's like, oh dear, he'd only do that with aces or kings. He'd be shoving. I don't know if that slightly increases the chances of a fold if you don't want to flip here from a middle pair. Or a middle pair. Again, the middle pair, the guy calls with pocket tens, let's say, from the middle position, and there only needs to be one over for him to fold because you're definitely shoving any flop. If you got 17 bigs and you 3-bet to 6.5 big blinds or whatever it is, King XX, does he fold then when he wouldn't fold pre? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I like I don't unless I know the villain really well. I don't think I like taking my chances there with like a smaller 3-bet. I think a lot of, especially recreational players, you're gonna end up getting called, and then they're gonna just convince themselves that they're supposed to call on like any non-ace high flop or something along those lines.
Okay. Yeah, I think the shove is definitely the play. I just bringing that up, all the possibilities here. So what does he tell us what he did and what the outcome of the hand was?
He does. He says, let's see, is this a perfect spot to squeeze? I ended up shoving all in. The original razor folded, and UTG +3 called with Jack.
Yep.
We use the flip for heaps. Is this a standard play? How would you play this hand out of position? Well, you are out of position. Maybe he means out of position.
Well, that's pretty much what we said. I mean, the very worst case scenario was probably you going to be flipping where you're getting a good price. You're getting paid 1.5% or 1.5, 150% on your money when.
Yeah, when you got the original razor that ends up folding, or the other guy ends up folding, and the original razor calls.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to happen. Obviously, that's like the top of his range, basically. So you just happen to run into that, and when the top of people's ranges are, you're flipping, it's probably not a bad spot to be shoving.
No.
Yeah. Cool. Do you guys want to do another one?
Does he say what happened? I'm sorry.
He ends up busting.
I figured.
Yeah.
Dumbass. You should listen to all our shows at least 3 times to get. No, I'm just kidding, Michael. You made the right play. You made the right play, and
Yeah.
You're always second guessing those spots, but when
you are, especially when you get that deep, and you're like, man,
yeah,
what if I had done this, or what if, yeah.
I wonder if he's folding pocket 8s or 9s there. Probably not. I mean, he shouldn't be, but I'd just be curious. Like I said, it's always you ran into the top of his range. We don't really know what his full calling range was, but
yeah.
So what's on the horizon for you, Joe? Are you going to take another shot at Vegas this year, or you're not even?
I don't really have any plans set in stone for Vegas yet. Definitely throwing the idea around with my roommates. We'll see how the next couple months go as far as cash. I definitely plan on doing Vegas a lot differently than I did last year. I played way too many tournaments and not enough cash, and variance just crushed me. So
you went 0 for the whole series, right? I guess.
Yeah, I went 0 for, I think it was 9.
Okay.
And they were all like 1Ks or 1500s.
That's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
What would you play? The Venetian, they've got the I think it's a 530 buy-in or 540. They've got the daily deep stacks at the WSOP. Those are 235s.
Yeah.
They're huge fields, but
right.
First place is anywhere from 30 to 50K.
But generally speaking, they say the cash games are softer on tournament series, and Joe's a cash game whiz, so it makes sense to.
Yeah, I think
invest the majority of your time and money into the cash games, right?
Yeah, exactly. I played a bunch of sit and goes last year, and I'm by no means like a bad sit and go player, but I'm certainly not a pro at those either. So I mean, I just made a lot of mistakes in terms of like bankroll and game selection.
So you talked about before how great and exciting it was to play in the main event. I mean, is that a real ambition here to get in somehow this year, or is that, it's sort of when it happens, it happens?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I've kind of, I guess the excitement has kind of worn off from that. So now my goals are a lot different than they were before I got to play in that. And I think now I'm just trying to make this a career instead of just like a dream. So
right.
I mean, I know I'm gonna be in poker for a while, so there will be more main events that I'll get to play in, but probably not this one. But certainly in the future.
It's been great talking to you, man.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
This was fun.
Yeah,
enlightening.
Absolutely. If you guys ever want to talk cash game hands, definitely let me know.
Yeah, okay. I'd love to have you. But write down the interesting ones there, and I gotta head east eventually. There, you guys got a good sofa here. I'm openly panhandling now here.
Definitely.
I can't afford hotel rooms, so I'm just
Yeah, it's I actually get I get rooms like almost every day of the week at Borgata, but I don't think I've ever actually stayed there. So I usually just get them all for my friends. So if you're ever around, feel free to hit me up.
Okay, man. I appreciate that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, great. I think our listeners are gonna like this show. We had some good stuff.
Yeah, I learned something, especially about the clicking it back. That was good. Yeah. I can't wait to try it. But, do you have anything you want to plug in? Your Twitter or?
Yeah.
Joe doesn't give a shit about that, man.
No, it's funny. I'm so bad because Steve kept asking me what my Skype name was, and I had no idea what it was because I just never used it. And
there was like 8 Joe LaPintas on there.
I'm
sending all of them friend requests. He's like, I got nothing.
I'm pretty sure I told you the wrong one too, which is kind of funny. But so I had to look up my Twitter. That's what I was just stalling for. It's at joesmoe87. It's joesmoe87, and yeah,
we've got a believe it or not, we've got a lot of horny sorority girls who listen to this program. So,
really?
I mean, so throwing well, no, actually, Steve's mother is the only confirmed woman we know who actually listens to this. But I just thought, Joe, I'd get you excited there, throwing the Twitter handle out,
Yeah, thanks.
You're gonna have to beat him away with a stick, man.
Can't wait.
Well, okay, brother, it's been great talking to you, and I hope to see you soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Right on. Well, that was fun.
I think that was a good one, Steve. Nice work, sir.
Yes, you too. Okay, thank you guys for listening. You can hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, at our blog, and you can email us at headsuppokerpodcast@blogspot.com. So you guys have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Good luck at the tables, folks.
I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today. Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. Now, I can't do it for you. I'm too old. I look around, I see these young faces, and I think, I made every wrong choice a middle-aged man can make. I pissed away all my money, believe it or not. I chased off anyone who's ever loved me. And lately, I can't even stand the face I see in the mirror. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals. That's football, guys. That's all it is. Now, what are you gonna do?